is an article that came out in the Smithsonian, December 18th, 2018. Fentanyl has outpaced heroin as drug implicated most often in fatal overdoses. So now, when people are sent to the coroner's office, fentanyl is almost always involved in that death. So in 2016, more than two-thirds of fentanyl-related deaths involved at least one other drug. So they're showing you right here in the picture the size of a penny and how much fentanyl, 2 milligrams, that it takes to kill a person. So it's not hard to see with such a small amount. It won't even be noticed if it's mixed in with other drugs. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid, which we know is stronger than morphine, is now the drug most often involved in fatal overdoses across the United States, according to a new report published by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The document implicates the powerful drug in nearly 29% of all overdose deaths, more than 18,000 of the year's 63,000 fatalities in 2016. Okay, so when fentanyl was involved in just 4% or about 16,000 instances of fatal overdoses that year, which they're talking about 2011, oxycodone, a semi-synthetic opioid prescribed as a legal painkiller but often abused due to its addictive qualities, was the deadliest drug, popping up in 13% of all U.S. overdose deaths. Between 2012 and 2015, heroin surpassed oxycodone. But the Huffington Post, Aaron Shoemaker, points out fatal overdoses involving fentanyl rose about 113% per year from 2013 to 2016. Heroin use also increased during this time, with heroin-related deaths skyrocketing from 4,571 in 2011 to 15,961 in 2016. More than two-thirds of fentanyl-related deaths involved at least one other drug, a trend likely linked to the fact that drug dealers often lace heroin and cocaine with fentanyl in order to increase potency at a low cost, reports NPR. Okay, so let me just go down a little. All right, so the report further shows that in 2016, 2 out of 5 cocaine-related overdose deaths also involved fentanyl, while nearly 1/3 of fentanyl-related fatalities also involved heroin. More than 20% of methamphetamines overdose deaths also mentioned heroin. The scale and seriousness of the national drug crisis is evident in these numbers, but opioids aren't the only substance contributing to the epidemic. Reports, so they're saying cocaine, methamphetamines, and stimulants, once believed to be lessened in popularity, are not fading. In fact, in some parts of the country, meth is the leading drug. Okay, so it really depends on where you live. Between 2011 and 2016, overdose deaths from cocaine increased around 18% each year. Earlier this month, the CDC published 3 separate reports detailing a worrying downward spiral in Americans' average life expectancy. The Washington Post's Lenny Bernstein reports that the steady decline, a 3-year drop, that represents the longest sustained decline in expected lifespan since, okay, so they're saying that, okay, So they're saying the life expectancy has dropped, and it's really escalating because of the drug and suicides that are going on in the country. And and a lot of times suicides get missed, but the suicides are going through the roof. They've been bad for a long time. In 2017, drug overdoses claimed 70,237 lives, while suicides claimed more than 47,000. Both of these figures rose between 2016 and 2017. Interestingly, Shoemaker of the Huffington Post explains that these figures are reflected in the latest CDC report, which found certain drugs more likely to be implicated in either unintentional overdoses or death by suicide. In 2016, fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine were most frequently cited in overdoses, while prescription and over the counter medicines such as oxycodone, hydrocodone were most frequently recorded in suicides. Combined, the quartet of December reports present a stark portrait of drugs and suicide crisis, increasingly deadly toll. Still, the newest report lead author Holly Heddingard of the National Center for Health Statistics and tells Shoemaker that the findings could help experts and policymakers better understand the patterns underlying both public health emergencies. Okay, so for folks who work in preventing, having information helps about preventing tactics and to use or approaches that might be effective. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, the bottom line is there are too many people on drugs, and they already know. I don't care what they put in place, it is too many people for them to get around to. When you have millions, and America has millions of drug addicts in your country, all they can do right now, you can just tell they are throwing the kitchen sink because they literally do not know what to do. They have thrown over $1 trillion at this drug addiction that's going on in the country, and it's still going strong. See, this is why when it was originally going to be a national emergency and Trump changed it to public health, because he already saw how much money was spent and it was not putting a dent in the addiction. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I think they're doing? They're just hoping this thing will slow down. But I think deep down inside, they know it won't. But they're not ready to admit it yet. They have literally been defeated by this drug addiction. America's not going to beat this thing. They're not. It's too many people. Maybe if it was maybe a few 100,000, you might have a chance. But when you get into millions of people doing this stuff, you have no way of beating this. And they're seeing the carnage from this every single year. And this is why I believe all 50 states do not report to the CDC, because then you will really see how bad it is. And it's bad. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.